Hello, good evening and welcome. It is Saturday night, 8 o'clock UK time. My name is Paul and I help people get rid of addictions, bad habits, phobias, all that kind of thing, and I use hypnosis. Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, for one night only, I would love to introduce the one, the only, the amazing, the outstanding, the incredible, the most wonderful person in the world, you. Yeah, tonight is all about you. And the reason I want to talk about it tonight is that we seem to be putting ourselves behind all sorts of different labels and barriers and blockages and all kinds of stuff. And what I want to do is I'm going to get rid of all that and just show you how important you are to what's going on around you, your life, and in the world. You are one incredible, amazing, wonderful person, but we all seem to forget this. It's just so easy to get embroiled in life and what we're doing and where we are and our thing, our problem, that, you know, it disappears. Who we are just disappears. I've made some scribbles, so I don't want to really forget. So today, I don't know, this morning, I was having a coffee with a colleague of mine, a lady called Claire, and we're just chatting about business, how things are going, excuse me. And she was saying to me, I'm getting a lot of cancellations, Paul, at the moment. And I said, why? Why is that? What's going on? And she was saying, well, you know, the call goes really well, and people say, yeah, I want to come and see you next Wednesday at 2 o'clock or Friday afternoon at 5, whatever it is. But then they ring me like the morning of or the day before, or in one case like an hour before, saying, look, I'm really sorry, Claire, but you know, something's come up and I can't make it. Now, I've restructured how I see people, so that doesn't happen to me as much, but Claire works differently to me anyway. And we was talking about it, she said, well, why is it? And she said, well, it's because people are frightened, not so much of me and how I work, but of the fact that, in fact, let me just go back into that. They're not even frightened that the thing won't work. They're actually frightened that it will work and that whatever behavior they're trying to get removed will actually be removed. And for a lot of people, that is a humongous step to get across. Like, I am a person with OCD, yeah? And tomorrow morning, I'm suddenly a person without OCD. Who does that make me now? What do I say to my friends? How do I present myself? How do I look at the rest of my life? Because I don't have this thing anymore that's been on my back, a weight on my shoulders for the last 5, 10, 15, 25, 30 years. And so I got to thinking about this and go all the way back to World War II in the UK. So 1930, was 80 years ago now, near enough. And millions and millions and millions of men were drafted and went to fight all over the world against the enemy. And this left a massive hole back in the UK. There were factories that needed to be occupied, there were weapons to be made, ammunition to be created, all sorts of stuff needed doing. And suddenly women started coming out and saying, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. And then this invisible resource, because don't forget, back in that kind of era, women were just supposed to be at home and all that kind of thing and didn't actually work for a living, yeah? But they suddenly woke up to the fact that, yeah, I can be a skilled mechanic, I can make munitions, I can do my bit to fight the enemy and fill this gap that our country needs. And they became bakers, butchers, candle stakers, mechanics, welders, engineers, shipbuilders, tank makers, gun makers. And they suddenly became this humongous workforce that the world had forgotten about. And that people, women themselves, probably knew already that they had the skills, but hadn't sort of, this is not a feminist thing, I'm not getting on about that, but I'm talking about the individual side of things, that hadn't thought themselves capable. But a problem arose, a major, major issue arose, and it had to be dealt with. And so millions of women stepped forward and they put themselves at risk, not necessarily the battlefront, but because there was a huge urgent need. Because I don't know if you know, but right at the start of World War II, we'd run out of weapons, we'd run out of ammunition, we'd run out of everything because we hadn't planned, okay? So there was a humongous shortage. So everything was thrown at, rebuilding our armory, shall we say. And so health and safety went out the window. There were loads of death and women were maimed and injured, but they were still willing to get into the factory working 12-hour days, 6-7 days a week to do what was needed to do. And then once the war was over, they realized that, wow, shit, I can do stuff. I don't want to go back to being a housewife, yeah? I want to become this, that, or the other. And so, that started to happen. And unfortunately today, for a lot of people, we've forgotten that. We've forgotten the skills and the abilities and the talents that are pretty much innate. The ability to learn and to do and create and to build and do more and be more seems to have just disappeared because, well, I've got depression. I hate to say it, but I'm an alcoholic. Well, yeah, I'm drinking, I'm smoking 60 fags a day. And so what we've become our illnesses, we've become our addictions, we've become our problems. And it's, in a way, it's become like almost like, I hate to say this, but it's become like a badge of achievement or a badge of courage. I'm not really sure what it's become, but it's become something. I had a client, well, a prospective client, this is back last year. And this is a beautifully, incredibly talented, creative person, yeah? And she just has this wonderful little business going, but it needs her to be out on the road, showing people what she does and how she does it, and, selling, marketing, all that kind of stuff. But because of her issue, she's only able to get out of the house once a year, which is really killing and stifling her business. So she heard about me and said, Paul, yeah, I'd love to come and talk to you, I'd love to work with you. Can we sort something out? I said, yeah, absolutely no problem. So we set up a time, set up a day, and she was coming to see me. And this person had been introduced to me by somebody else. And the somebody else said to me, I hope it happens, Paul, but I don't think it will. And I said, why not? Well, I said, well, because, we've invited this person to our house to come for a weekend with her husband for, 3 or 4 times now. And the same thing happens. We book a date, she says yes, and then like 2 weeks before, something happens, and a week before, and she cancels on us. I went, yeah, that can happen kind of thing, but hopefully she's made a firm decision now. She wants to get it sorted. And so I had to almost laugh, but I shouldn't have laughed really. 2 weeks to the day, pretty much, before the appointment, lady, she emailed me and said, I'm sorry, Paul, something's come up. Can't make it. And I said, okay, no worries, let's rebook. Silence, radio silence. And then the day before, she rang me and said, I'm really sorry, Paul, but I don't actually need it. My OCD doesn't hold me back that much. I'm perfectly fine with it. It's just a minor issue. And don't forget, this lady had been out of her house once in like 15, 16 months. But to her, it wasn't an issue. And that, to me, was clear as day as someone who's become attached to this thing and is really, really frightened of who she will be once this thing is gone. Because, that's who we are. Yeah, I've got this. And we tell our friends, and our friends become accustomed to our weird ways of doing things or being things. We've already got to go to her house, or we can only go to this restaurant, or we can only do X, Y, Z, or they're always wearing the same shirt or whatever. We get accustomed to it. And so in a kind of way, we people can be in this bubble and they don't know what to do to get out of this bubble, or they get scared. What happens if it's going on? Sorry, somebody just messaged me. I lost a bit there. So I talk to people and I say, look, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to be worried about, what happens after the session. Because we talk about that and we can work through it. But a lot of people have this, how can I put it? I guess it's like a conflict or a war going on between their rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, this bit that's listening to me now and thinking about what to have for dinner or what you're going to do tomorrow, and then the rest of our mind, the subconscious, which is basically running the ship, yeah? And until we get that, you know, I guess, agreement, accord, or, you know, neutrality, signature, whatever it is, we're going to have this imbalance between what the rational brain wants and understands it needs to do. Like, okay, I want to quit drinking, so what I need to do is go and see my doctor and talk about this, that, and the other. Do I need to go on any medication? Do I need to go to the AA? Do I need to get some hypnosis or whatever? And then make a plan and move forward. But in the subconscious is going, nah, I'm not doing that. It's a great idea, but we're not doing it because we're not happy. We haven't got a guarantee that, you know, the world is going to be a better place after the session with this geezer called Paul Wilson. So, sorry, end of story, we're not doing it. And there are thousands and thousands of people, and I see this every single day because, as like I said to you before, I spend a lot of time talking to people in groups on Facebook and on the phone and online in, you know, meetings and stuff. And I see it all the time. People are so scared to let go of this label. I think I mentioned this before. There's one chap who I spoke to a few weeks ago, and he says to me, Paul, I go to the AA meetings twice a week and I've been doing it for 30 years. And I said, okay, cool. And he says, the first thing I say when I go into these meetings is, hi, my name is Paul and I'm an alcoholic. And I said to him, so you're still drinking after 30 years? I went, no. I stopped drinking on, I don't know, February the 27th, 30 years ago. And I went, brilliant. And you've been sober ever since? And he said, yeah. So I said, why the fuck are you still calling yourself an alcoholic then? Because you're a non-drinker now. You're just a normal person. And he went, no, but I'm still an alcoholic. I said, no. An alcoholic is somebody who drinks too much. You're not. You haven't had a drop of alcohol for 30 years. So why still carrying around this label? And the problem, we got talking a bit more, and the problem was he didn't know how to describe himself without this label. And he just wasn't prepared to let it go. And the great fear was that if he dropped this label, he would suddenly have this massive compulsion to go and drink. And I tried to sort of talk him around and explain that, no, you've learned your lesson, you've done all the things you need to do, you're now just somebody who isn't bothered by alcohol, it's not a big thing. And he just couldn't get it. He just had been so, I guess, conditioned to be having this label that I am an alcoholic, that's what he was going to be. And that's how he lived. All his friends knew him as Paul the alcoholic, you know, his work colleagues and family. They go, oh yeah, he's been an alcoholic for 30 years. And I was thinking, what a disservice to this guy who had a problem, dealt with it, got it sorted 30 bloody years ago, but is still carrying that label around. And I was thinking, that is just so wrong. And I firmly believe that we don't need to carry these labels. Yes, it's not our fault that we get stuck with an addiction. Clearly, that's just not our fault. You know, things happen. I would 100% say that it's never our fault that we get addicted to something. But it is our responsibility 100% to deal with that problem and get it sorted and get rid of it and, you know, move forward with life. But to drop it, once it's gone and done and dusted, it's over. And to stop carrying this label. So if you are someone that does have an issue, yeah, don't take this the wrong way, but don't wear it as a badge of achievement or a badge of courage or whatever, because it's not. It's a challenge, it's a problem, it's an illness, call it what you will, that can be dealt with and it can be sorted and it can be removed. And depending on which way you go, you can do it, you know, fairly quickly and fairly painlessly. But drop the label, because there's an old saying or proverb or something that goes along the lines of something like this, that the more that you focus on something, the more that something will appear in your life. So if you're still thinking, I'm getting depressed, or I suffer with this or that or the other, then your brain just doesn't know what else to do, because that's all you're focusing on. And this thing becomes this massive, massive mound you've got to scramble over or try and get around or dig your way through. Whereas if you just go, no, yeah, I've got a problem and I'm dealing with it, it brings it right down and makes it a tiny little molehill, yeah? And we can just walk over it or step around it or step over it. So that's it, yeah? please have a think. Drop the label. You're not your thing, okay? You're not your phobia. You're not your addiction. You're not your bad habit. You are you, a beautiful, amazing, wonderful, incredible, creative person. And I want you to remember that, because from now for the rest of your life, that's who you are. And the opportunities are everywhere, yeah? But you need to be able to see them. So drop the label and move forward. That's it for tonight, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you know anybody that might find this video helpful, please, don't tag them because they might get embarrassed, but, get them to PM me, or put a link in a PM to them or a DM, that kind of thing. And listen, if you need my help, get in touch. Have a lovely morning, afternoon, evening, and I will see you tomorrow, Sunday night, 8 o'clock my time. Bye.